What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into Neil Young's studio catalog. Today I'm going to discuss album number 26, Are You Passionate? Came out in 2002. I'm going to talk about this, then I'm going to rank it among all the other studio albums, plus the sort of like studio / live albums, the sort of like Rust Never Sleeps, Time Fades Away type things. Rank those at the end. But I'm going to talk about this album at first. I have a lot to say about this album, and I think I'm going to start off with I have this theory, or I have this view of Neil's sort of discography of his career as being divided into two pretty distinct halves. That first half being the time he appeared on the music scene with Buffalo Springfield on through 1996 Broken Arrow with Crazy Horse. I think if you take every Neil album from those Buffalo Springfield ones all the way through Broken Arrow, there was a narrative through line that at times maybe you're making a little bit of a leap of faith, but I think you can argue that every album in a weird Neil Young way logically followed the one that preceded it. Both in terms of what he's doing musically, of what he's writing about lyrically, how the lyrics definitely reflect his personal life, his relationships, how the lyrics reflect the culture that he's living in, Southern California, the US in the 70s. We get to the 80s, we got some little Reagan jingoism seeping in there. He has a birth of a son, the birth of his son, and the fact that his son has cerebral palsy, and it's requiring a lot of Neil. Neil makes his way into his music. His fight with his record company makes his way into some of his decisions. His rise back in the late 80s, early 90s, the death of Cobain referencing him in his final letter, his response to that, the mantle of Godfather of Grunge being put on him, how he responds to that. There is a narrative through line in every single album from Buffalo Springfield's first one all the way through Broken Arrow, with Broken Arrow sort of being the cathartic epilogue, putting all these things behind, dealing with them one more time in this just grungy hit of indulgence. And then he decides, or at least he doesn't really take 4 years off, but there's 4 years before we get another studio album. He comes back with Silver and Gold, and it feels like the second half of his career has started. Neil has a career, he has a job, it's being a musician, and from here on out, his music is pretty much, you wake up, you decide what you want to do next because this is your job and you do it. The lyrics are still sort of informed by his personal relationships, as on this album, informed by politics, as we would get in a couple years. We're definitely informed by environmentalism, as we get in the next album. So he definitely is still very much responsive to the real world, but it feels less like I have to do this in order to deal with what's going on in my life versus, oh, I need something to write about. I'm still passionate, but it really is more like I'm going to decide to write about this. Sometimes the results are great. Sometimes they aren't. Sometimes we're like, okay, at least he's expressing himself. This album firmly, I think, supports that theory. Silver and Gold. Let's kind of do a Comes a Time Country Roots thing. What do you want to do next? Haven't worked with Booker T and the MGs yet. Let's do that. This album would better be called Booker T and the MGs featuring Neil Young. Neil Young writes the songs. He's the lead vocalist. His guitar is super present, but it really sounds like a Booker T and the MGs album. If you know Booker T and the MGs, you know their sound. Just that iconic, more so than the organ of Booker T. I think that unfortunately doesn't get enough love in this, but those iconic sort of Donald Duck Dunn bass lines are just like every song on here. You're like, oh, is this Sugar Pie Honey? Oh no, it just sounds like it. Oh, is this that other Booker? No, it just sounds like it. Like it's a Donald Duck Dunn Booker T vibe. The album, unfortunately, it is almost predictable in its sequencing. I think this is I think it works, but it's lazy. It's fast song, strike that. Mid-tempo upbeat song, slower song. Mid-tempo upbeat song, slower song. Mid-tempo up, slow. That's it, literally. I think it alternates all the way through the entire album, with the final song essentially just being a jam, driven by bass. I think it works. We get some trumpet action in there, kind of tasty. Nice and long, like 9 minutes. I hate the album cover. I just want to address that. One of my least favorite album covers ever. One of the girls in my class this year has a dress that looks exactly like that flower thing, that flower print. She wore it today. And I was like, I knew I was going to come home and make this video. And I was like, oh, Yeah, it looks much better as a dress on a 5-year-old than it does here. I don't know. I don't like the album cover. Plus, I read somewhere once, I think that the album title was inspired by Hendrix's Are You Experienced? Which I'm like, nah, and I didn't want to know that because after I listened to Are You Experienced, whether or not I am experienced, I feel experienced. That's a visceral listen. Like you feel like you've experienced something after that album. Was I really passionate about anything after listening to this album? I really can't say I was. I love Booker T. Seen them live a bunch of times. They did a Drive-By Truckers tour, which I really enjoyed. I like that sound. That soul, that 60s soul sound that they bring, I really enjoy. And so there's a lot of these songs that I like, especially the fast ones. But I can't say I was really, really passionate about this album. Is it a great album? Not by any stretch of the imagination. I would imagine not by any stretch of anyone's imagination. Is it a bad album? I don't think it's a bad album. I don't think it's bad. It might not be the most inspired Neil album. It might not be the most creative. There is one song that was utterly maligned when this dropped that I don't think is bad now, 23 years later. It's a good listen. I put it on when I'm in the mood. I enjoy it. I like the faster songs better than the slower songs, but lower your expectations. If you like that doom, doom, boom, doo, doo, doom, boom, boom, that sugar pie honey type bass line, you're going to love half the songs on here, the upbeat ones, the slower ones. One of them reminds me of Rod Stewart's Tonight's the Night. The other one has a definite Curtis Mayfield People Get Ready vibe. And a lesser version of all of those songs, even the Rod Stewart one. But do I pull this out and listen to it kind of on a regular basis? I don't know how regular is, but more so than other albums? Yeah, I kind of do. It's just a really safe, comfortable listen. I like the sequencing, other than the fact that it alternates between fast and slow, because I think the first 4 songs almost lull you into some sort of expectations that are utterly just blown out of the water by the 5th song. First 4 songs, upbeat song, just really nice Booker T and the MG vibe, bass driven. Neil's got a little high voice singing in this one. Backing vocals, My Girl. Song is You're My Girl. Second song, Mr. Disappointment. A little slower, a little darker, a little more moodier. Very a disappointed vibe in here. A lower voice, very husky, almost talking, singing at some point. Pretty like one idea we just carry through for the whole song. Complements the first song well. Second song, upbeat, more bass, really good. I like it. I like the vibes. I think it's a stronger groove than the first song, but we're still in that same Booker T and the MG's bass-driven like soul. Second song, kind of bring it down. Got a nice emotional sort of guitar opening, kind of reminiscent what Santana does in his emotional songs, where Neil's just bringing the emotion before we get to the lyrics. First 4 songs, you kind of have a sense of what you're going to get for the rest of the album. Upbeat, slow, Booker T and the MG's vibe. But then song number 5 drops. Let's Roll. Widely mocked and criticized, and kind of, I think I even remember people saying this is the worst thing Neil's ever done. Inspired by events on 9/11, the plane that crashed in the field in Pennsylvania, I guess this was the plane that was designed to turn around and would eventually hit the White House. The passengers eventually took over the plane, stormed the cockpit, made it crash, sacrificed themselves essentially so that more people didn't die. True heroes, no argument about that. Apparently, right before they crashed that cockpit door, they're like, let's roll, hence the name of the song. The lyrics are pretty just descriptive. We get some weird Satan that creeps in there. I don't think it's one of Neil's better moments lyrically, but he does, for the most part, stay away from any sort of politics. We're not going to the geopolitical, what the U.S. does politically, how it sows dissent and creates enemies by its actions. We're not getting into any of that complicated mess. We're just kind of focused on the heroes. And the music, I think, is so good. It's this weird cross of like a Drive-By Truckers riff, like mid-tempo groove, and a Leonard Skinner, almost like a On the Hunt, but just not as nasty as that. Also reminds me of like a Roger Waters late period song when he starts like Roger Waters, he's like, let's roll for this and let's roll for that. We get this list of things. It feels like other people's music in a lot of ways, but musically I like it. It kind of brings a little more muscle after the first four songs. I don't think you're prepared for this. You're not prepared for it lyrically. Like, where did this come from on this album? This album seems to be about a love affair breaking apart and like his love for a girl. And then we got this. We got 9/11 thrown into the mix. It's a weird song. Also reminds me a little bit of Don Henley's Dirty Laundry. Just that dun 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 dun, and Neil's just sort of a news reporter, literally just reporting on what's happening. I think 23 years later, it's not an atrocity. I don't think it's a bad song. I enjoy it when it comes on. I'm not going to complain about Let It Roll. Then we get Are You Passionate? Another slow song. The guitar part is literally, Are You Passionate? It's literally just, you can hear that being sung as he plays the guitar. A little bit bluesier, a little bit just more of an intense blues slow vibe. But then, this middle portion of the album, just fascinating. Let's Roll, Are You Passionate? And then we get a Crazy Horse song, Going Home. This is just, lyrically, we get a reference to Custer Last Stand, the battleground, and then later on in the song, we get a woman who's turning down her radio as she turns into the battleground. We get that awesome mix of Neil's just obsession, the love of like Native American history and culture and the loss that was brought at the hands of the white man versus modern times and be living in the same environment where these historical events occurred. Just lyrically, one of those just, this is a song that, even though it's Crazy Horse as a band and not Pearl Jam, would have fit perfectly on Mirrorball. It's got a big green country vibe. The drums almost have this almost like just pounding, like let's march to war type vibe. Kind of aggressive, nice groove. Absolutely fantastic song. 8+ minutes, almost 9. At the end, it just like ends. It's like we're just in the middle of a bar and it just ends. Like, oh, yeah, that's where the jam fell apart. So we're just going to cut it off here. Somehow it fits. Somehow it works. Like if it had been the first song, no, it feels like it doesn't belong. Last song, no, you just tacked it on the end. Somehow it works right in the middle of this album. It's just absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it. Then we get 4 more songs, balancing out the album. 4, these 3 weird ones in the middle. We get When I Hold You in My Arms, slow intro that reminds me of Tonight's the Night. But I think Rod Stewart's Tonight's the Night, that might be a better song. Then we get Be With You, which has this straight up sugar pie honey bass line. Absolutely awesome, especially because we haven't really hit that sort of hardcore Booker T and the MG bass since like the first half of the album. Let's Roll as a different vibe. Are You Passionate? Going Home. When I Hold You in My Arms is kind of slower. So when we get back to that upbeat bass, it's like, all right, I'm back into this groove. We haven't hit this in a while. 2 Old Friends, straight up People Get Ready vibe. Neil's being nostalgic. We get a reference to the band back in the day, all that kind of stuff. Neil's looking backwards again. And then the album closes with 9+ minutes, She's a Healer. Straight up jam, driven by the bass. The guitar and the bass are kind of repeating this like 4 or 5 note phrase. It just kind of, the whole thing centered around, get a couple verses, some nice solo, really nice trumpet comes in at one point just to add some more atmosphere. Really nice, clean, tasty soloing by Neil. The only time we really get anything that's kind of aggressive is in the Crazy Horse song, as could be expected. And it's a great way to end the album. Is it one of the best jams I've ever heard in my life? No. Is it tasty? Is it smooth? Do I enjoy listening to it? I do. I don't think this is a horrible album. I just don't. It's not at the back of my list. In fact, there are things that most people put above this that I have below that. I enjoy this album. It's not great. If you don't like Booker T and the MGs, stay far away from it. Check out the Crazy Horse track, because it's absolutely amazing. But I don't know. Neil dipping his feet into soul music for 50 minutes. I'm not complaining. I enjoy this album. How would I rank the songs? There is my ranking of the songs. Like, all the upbeat stuff is at the top. Going Home, the Crazy Horse song, is the best one. I like the jam. I like Let's Roll, or Let It Roll. Let's Roll, not Let It Roll. I think I said Let It Roll early. I like Let's Roll. I just think the groove is, I think it works. Like it reminds me of Don Henley's, what is that, Dirty Laundry? And that's a compliment. I like that song. Differently is good. You're My Girl, Be With You, just fantastic. And then you get the slower songs in there. And then, yeah, that's how I would rank them. I mean, but really, other than Going Home, it's like you have all the fast, upbeat songs, which are kind of the same, and the slower songs, which are kind of the same. Like we're not reinventing any wheels at all from track to track, or really even changing our clothes. We're just like almost standing in this part of the room for this and this part of the room for that. It's, I mean, not much variance. But hey, if you like the initial sound, what's there to complain about? And then where would I rank the album among all the others? I have it all the way up at number 22. So, yeah, it's not in the top 12. After the Gold Rush is still at number 10. I'm keeping track of that because I said it would remain a top 10 album. It is still a top 10 album. But I have it at 22. Life has a couple songs that are better than anything on here. Maybe not. Going Home's pretty good. Long May You Run has a couple tracks I really like. I just think from start to finish, once the bar is set and Are You Passionate, we kind of stay at the bar. And when we get those little bumps, they're like, oh yeah, this one is actually really good. And then we go down, I'm like, I'm not disappointed. I like this space. So yeah, it's an average album, but I enjoy it when I listen to it. And sometimes you're really just in the mood for a really tasty Donald Duck Dunn bass line, a bass groove. You want him to lay down that bass. You want to be inspired. You want to be reminded of Sugar Pie Honey, but you want to be reminded of Rod Stewart's Tonight's the Night. Everything's going to be all right. What is that? Stay away from my window. What is that first line? I'm going to have to go listen to that album after this. But anyways, yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts. Are you passionate? I mean, I'm not particularly passionate about this album, but I'm not dispassionate about this album. It's an average album that I enjoy listening to. I'm repeating the same stuff. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think on this, all that kind of stuff in the comments. Go at it. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. My eye's getting better, though I still think it's a little bit squinty still. Blepharitis, people. But yeah, that's it. All right, I'm done. Thanks for watching. 2000s are a rough, interesting decade for Neil. So we're moving on after this. But all right, that's it. All I got. Peace. Talk to you later.